We can see how their accomplishments match up here on screen now as well. Joshua Lorcy, a longtime player, had some amazing words in his interview earlier. Just has had these great accomplishments, but still has not gotten that regional win. And Alex on the other side of the field, always top 4, did break the curse, but
not anymore.
Still one win away from that champion title.
Absolutely, an incredible matchup here. I'm so excited to see players like Alex and Josh, who have been around for a long time, still competing at the highest level. And of course, both of these players proved why they deserve to be here throughout all of their matches. And let's take a look at these teams, because they're pretty familiar. If you haven't been paying attention to this tournament over the course of the week, we had a lot of really cool rogue Pokemon, and then the top 6 Pokemon are on both teams.
And that's just how it goes sometimes, because when the Pokemon are good, you are going to see them bubble to the top. Now, the thing about Lorcy's team is that he has all of these unique angles that only he brought to this tournament. I think most notably is going to be the Terra Ground on the Alolan Ninetales alongside of the Terra Blast, and opting to go for Aurora Veil over Icy Wind. Now, we didn't really see that come into play too much throughout his tournament run. I think the Blizzard on its own is enough of a threat for that Pokemon. But in this mirror, given how he tried to use that Terastallization in Game 3 against Alex, that could be something he tries to fall back on. Didn't quite work out in that situation, but he might have been able to identify what he needed for it to succeed in the downtime since that match.
Well, and here is the 6 from Alex Arand. This is the much more, let's say, traditional take on these 6 Pokemon, as seen in winning the Frankfurt Regional Championship. So now we have at least these 6 Pokemon will have taken 2 regional championships at the start of this season, out of, I think we've played 5, including Belo Horizonte that just finished earlier today.
Emmanuel Briganti really leaving his mark on the Regulation H metagame, and you can see why. There's options to boost up your attack, your special attack. You can force switches with Encore, with Yawn. 2 fake out users, Rillaboom and Incineroar, best friends for life. Being able to switch between those 2 Pokemon has some great synergy that we've seen time and time again throughout the video game championships history. And of course, 2 powerful special attackers. There's really nothing popular in the format right now that can stop the power of special attack. Assault Vest Rillaboom can sort of help, maybe if you have a super bulky Ursaluna, that can sort of help. But at the end of the day, it's really going to be Alex piloting these very powerful Pokemon, choosing how he wants to do speed control, and just finding those opportunities for those attacks that are going to decide this match.
Absolutely. A couple other changes on these 6 Pokemon. Alex is going with the safety goggles on Incineroar versus Lorcy, who has the Citrus Berry. So that could come into play, as this Incineroar essentially does not have an item on Alex's side for this matchup. But it is going to be double Incineroar on the field, but different special attackers for both players. Lorcy has decided to lead with the Golden Go, matching up against the Ursaluna.
And we know, both from the Intimidate interaction we just saw and from previously on stream, that Alex's Incineroar will consistently be faster than Joshua's own Incineroar. So if we do see a trade of fake outs here, it's gonna be the Incineroar on Lorcy's side of the field that will flinch. That being said, with the Golden Go next to it, you have to wonder if Lorcy's tempted to go for some damage from a Make It Rain to try and get a nasty plot up in this position. We've seen Ursaluna do a decent amount of damage in this spot, but it's not going to be that Life Orb variant. It is not going to be fully offensive. And as a result, if Golden Go can sneak a nasty plot in, that's going to be a great opportunity for it.
Yeah, and the speed of the Incineroar on Alex's side is really putting a lot of pressure on Joshua here, because the Incineroar can't fake out safely. Josh knows that he would be losing the fake out wars, which means that the Incineroar has plenty of opportunity to go on the offense against the Golden Go, and also the Ursaluna Blood Moon feels totally safe. So Lorcy has to protect the Golden Go here, switches in the Rillaboom to reset fake out pressure, as Incineroar does go straight on the offense, trying to knock off the item from that Golden Go, remove the Life Orb, deal a lot of damage, but instead, no damage, and a repositioning from Joshua Lorcy gets the Rillaboom out on the field, fake out pressure, and no intimidates.
Which is great for that Rillaboom, as it is staring down down its ideal target in the form of that Ursaluna Blood Moon on Alex's side of the field. It could opt to Terrastalize here, and that electric type Terrastalization is pretty tempting. It's going to allow it to stick around for a bit longer, could try to set up a Yawn onto the Rillaboom and force it off the field, could just throw a Blood Moon out to deal some really good damage, but then you're taking away the possible Terrastalization from your own Golden Go if you brought it, so that's a big cost to play.
Absolutely, and that is a huge decision that these players are going to have to make every single turn. There is the Ursaluna retreating, bringing out the Rillaboom instead. So Alex has also brought the Rillaboom alongside the Incineroar so that he can reset fake out pressure. But here it is. Joshua Lorcy has gone for the Terrastalization on Golden Go. That is the Water Terra type. The Incineroar on Alex's side has done enough to frighten the Golden Go for Lorcy to force a Terrastalization, and on the switch in, catches the Rillaboom that once was an Ursaluna. Would have done nothing if the Ursaluna had stayed in, but instead, a Shadow Ball plus a Wood Hammer almost picks up the KO on its own there.
That is some key damage, especially given that the Golden Go is now weak to that Rillaboom.
Yeah, that Pokemon is now enemy #1 for Joshua Lorcy's Golden Go, and it took so much damage on the switch-in.
Parting Shot, though, on Alex's side of the field will allow him to pivot. This could be a great opportunity for him to reveal his final Pokemon, and he does. It's his own Golden Go.
It's his own Golden Go, but even because of the Terrastalization, Lorcy matches up quite well against it. And as we see, there is no speed control available for Alex, so it's all going to come down to how these Pokemon were trained. And this Terrastalization, if Lorcy can protect Golden Go until Rillaboom gets off the field, this Pokemon is looking really golden.
So we do know from previous matches that Alex's Rillaboom will be faster than Lorcy's Rillaboom, but we also know that Lorcy still has the Incineroar around, can still trade Fake Outs, can still trade some Intimidates, so it's not like you have to make that big play right now. You can afford to play it a little bit safer. You just have to hope that you don't catch your opponent with a Nasty Plot.
Oh, the Golden Go, the Shadow Ball, and the Grassy Glide, the double up into Golden Go. That is going to knock out Joshua's Water Terra type Golden Go. Went for an aggressive play, trying to deal even more damage, hoping that Alex would try to predict that Joshua would be a little bit more defensive. Instead, Golden Go goes down for Josh, but the high horsepower will deal significant damage to the Golden Go in return. And now, Alex does have a Pokemon advantage, but a lot of these Pokemon are extremely weak. And the final Pokemon in the back we see is the Sneasler for Joshua Lorcy. So setting up a world where that Sneasler can be the offensive threat that closes out this game instead of the Golden Go.
As we've seen from this team in other formations, the Sneasler has access to close combat and acrobatics, and you really want the Golden Go on the opposing side of the field to be below half of its health to feel comfortable about that acrobatics knockout. And that's something that I think the Incineroar and the Rillaboom can be very comfortable as a navigating to that point. You just have to time these turns very well.
Well, Incineroar switching in for Alex, going to bring the Intimidate down onto both the Rillaboom and the Incineroar for Joshua Lorcy, but Rillaboom will also switch out right now.
It will, and given the opportunity to pivot here into the Sneasler while the terrain is still active, Grassy Seed will be consumed. We will see a defense boost, and the Unburden will activate, making the Sneasler the fastest Pokemon on the field, and Alex, without his own Sneasler, will be susceptible to that.
Absolutely, the Sneasler, absolutely the fastest thing on the field, and Lorcy making an incredible play there to get the Incineroar on the switch-in with that Parting Shot. So this Sneasler got in without being intimidated, and now the Incineroar on Alex's side just got Parting Shotted, and Rillaboom gets to come in and threaten more Fake Out pressure.
The really nice thing about this position for Lorcy is that if the Incineroar wants to use the Intimidate once again, it has to switch out, and you're looking at damage into the Ursaluna Blood Moon, which is one of your key pieces of damage at this point, or into your Rillaboom, which honestly you kind of want that Fake Out pressure for another turn. You can't necessarily make that switch comfortably because Sneasler could decide to throw close combat into that spot, could just go for acrobatics to do some nice chip to that Incineroar and follow it up with a high horsepower. Lorcy has a lot of options here, and I think Alex did a great job a couple of turns ago reading like that defensive play and going full on the offense, but I think now he has to start playing a bit more defensively. He needs to find the opportunity to catch this Sneasler sort of by surprise, and I mean with this Swords Dance now could find an opportunity here.
Well, Sneasler will go for the Swords Dance there and boost up its attack. Golden Go will match by Nasty Plotting to boost its special attack, but the high horsepower coming out from Rillaboom, that's a KO all on its own. No Intimidate on that Rillaboom, super effective damage. The Nasty Plot, was it worth it? No, it just goes right down. Incineroar tries to get this Sneasler under control with the parting shot, meaning that it will be able to go back to Alex and can come back once again to Intimidate once more and remove those Swords Dance boosts. That was a huge piece that Alex lost in order to get the Sneasler under control.
But is it under control? It's still going to be the fastest thing on the field. You're still going to be able to protect any threat of Fake Out, and a close combat into the Ursaluna will still hurt, even if it does Terrastalize into that electric typing. The Sneasler just has to hang out for a bit. You have to feel out how Alex is going to approach this turn. Certainly you have to worry about your Rillaboom's position at this point in time. It can't necessarily protect, which means it might be taking a lot of damage here if Alex decides to double into it, but Sneasler really is your key piece. As long as you keep it safe for another turn, you can go on the offense with it in the next turn.
Yeah, Sneasler needs to stay healthy here, but also Lorcy needs to get some damage down onto this Ursaluna. Without the Golden Go in the back, the Ursaluna is potentially able to start dealing some big damage. Even though it is defensive, having access to Blood Moon means that it's still going to be able to punch holes through the team no matter what. Plus, that ground typing from Earth Power is going to deal significant damage to both Sneasler and Incineroar. Lorcy, though, will just protect Sneasler on this turn, afraid of a Fake Out coming out from the Incineroar, but there's no Fake Out, instead a Wood Hammer from Rillaboom. After the Intimidate coming down from Alex's Incineroar only does a little bit of damage, and Alex is just pivoting. He is dancing all over the place with this Incineroar. In, out, switching right back out again and bringing in his own Rillaboom.
And this is how you play Incineroar and Rillaboom when your back is against the wall, and when you know your opponent's final pieces are those physical attackers. Even if you are taking a little bit of chip damage on all of these switches, one, you're going to be forcing your opponent to switch around a little bit more, but I think more importantly, you are giving this Ursaluna opportunities to weave in attacks in the meantime. Now that the Rillaboom is back out on the field, yes, grassy terrain is here and those Wood Hammers will be a little bit more powerful, and certainly you're healing up your opponent's Pokemon alongside your own, but you have access to Fake Out again. The Sneasler did just protect. It can't protect a second time. And if you catch the Incineroar on a possible switch here, that's going to be another big chunk of damage to give you that much more momentum back. Rillaboom and Incineroar are just so comfortable switching in and out and in and out, and there's really nothing that Lorcy can do to sort of match that momentum, given that Sneasler just isn't as comfortable on the field as Ursaluna is.
Absolutely. The one saving grace for Lorcy is that Incineroar is still extremely healthy and has its Citrus Berry. So it should be able to tank at least one Earth Power or Blood Moon, eat the Citrus Berry, and start recovering up just a little bit. But Alex, making the call, realizes that Sneasler absolutely doesn't feel safe here, will switch out and instead deals the damage to the Rillaboom with the Fake Out, preventing it from firing out a Wood Hammer. Incineroar, like I mentioned, is going to tank that Earth Power and eat the Citrus Berry, but that was only the one-time deal. Now, Lorcy has to find a way to make something happen.
So looking at the tools available to you, Fake Out, back on the table. That Intimidate into the Rillaboom is pretty nice to have, but that's not going to help you slow down this Ursaluna Blood Moon. And unfortunately, your high horsepower on your own Rillaboom, after all those Intimidates, those are still active on that Pokemon. That's not going to be enough horsepower to really get that knockout. You want to try and switch the Sneasler in, but what if your opponent predicts that? And even if they don't, getting any chip damage on that Pokemon means a potential Grassy Glide in the future could just take it out. And you also lost your Unburdened speed boost too, which is not the best position to be in.
Yeah, the speed boost is not that big of a deal because just naturally Sneasler is going to be super powerful or super speedy in this situation, but losing the Grassy Seed boost is definitely going to be a big deal here, meaning that it can take significant damage from the Rillaboom's high horsepower, but there are plenty of options here for negating some of that. Sneasler comes out in favor of the Rillaboom as the Intimidate comes through from Alex's Incineroar on the switch-in, and calling that this is probably going to be a little bit of a passive turn, that Ursaluna is almost fully back up to full after all of these turns of leftovers and grassy terrain. Josh goes for the Fake Out there to prevent it from doing anything, but The real goal was just to get that Sneasler in safely, and he has done that, although Incineroar still threatens Fake Out pressure. I don't think there's been a turn that Fake Out hasn't been threatened against Lorcy.
It really hasn't, and I'm so glad you mentioned that because I think these trainers are honestly avoiding it. You know, we saw Fake Out go into the Protect that turn. I think that was one of the first time we've really seen it in this match try to accomplish something meaningful. We saw it flinch a couple of turns ago as well, but really, if Alex doesn't go for it this turn and Lorcy relies on that read like he did, you can catch your opponent off guard with a one-hit knockout onto their Incineroar, force their final 2 Pokemon onto the field, and suddenly you're so much more comfortable in this endgame.
And this is what you need to do against these balanced teams. You have to find a way to break that core, but in exchange, the Earth Power from Ursaluna, because of those special defense drops, will pick up that one-hit KO as well. So now you have Rillaboom, you have Incineroar as the final Pokemon for Lorcy, and you have the Rillaboom and the Ursaluna for Alex.
The Incineroar here does come back out onto the field, will be able to intimidate the opposing Rillaboom, but at the end of the day, target number 1 is going to be the Ursaluna Blood Moon. Those high horsepowers are nice, but you really want to stop that Pokemon. You have to find a way to get enough damage for it to stick. You have your own high horsepower, but you've also been intimidated. How much is it going to do, and when are you going to find the opportunity to even hit it when you're flinched?
Well, this is the silliest play I think I've seen in a long time. Lorcy locking in double Fake Out from both the Incineroar and the Rillaboom. Just to confirm, I will make this Ursaluna flinch no matter what you do, Alex. And there it is. Flinches out, Fake Outs are gone for the rest of the game, and now it is a true 2v2.
I actually honestly love that play, though, because that's what you need. You need the Ursaluna to lose as many turns as possible. And if you don't want to make a read, and you don't have to make a read, you might as well just go with the guaranteed option, as long as you're comfortable assuming your opponent will go for Fake Out on their own Rillaboom. We are in essentially the same spot we were in the previous turn in terms of how threatening the Ursaluna is. With the removal of the grassy terrain, that means recovery is also gone for these Pokemon, so this damage is going to start to stick.
The high horsepowers are landing on the Incineroar, on the Ursaluna. The Earth Power is landing on the Incineroar, so Lorcy loses a Pokemon first. Incineroar goes down, and now it is just the Rillaboom for Lorcy up against the Ursaluna and the Rillaboom. Because the Ursaluna is faster than Lorcy's Incineroar, not able to get any damage off onto either Pokemon using the Incineroar, and that puts Rillaboom in a really nasty spot.
Ursaluna free to Protect to utilize that leftovers to get its health slowly back up. But these Wood Hammers,
they're not nothing.
They're not nothing for sure. The critical hit does help, but if Lorcy is able to get this down to a Rillaboom versus Rillaboom situation, as of this moment in time, he does have the health advantage.
Crucially, this Ursaluna continues to recover with its leftovers. It's going to be very close if a high horsepower will be enough. If Ursaluna can swing against this Rillaboom, that's it for Lorcy. We're going to game 2. If it does not, then Lorcy may be able to take this one home in the 1v1 with the Rillabooms. There's the high horsepower, connects onto Ursaluna, not enough damage! 1 hit point remaining on the Ursaluna, and the yawn just to lock it up.
That's a very smart call there from Alex, realizing that if you're worried about losing your Ursaluna, you can always protect the following turn. This Rillaboom is going to have to go to sleep.
The Rillaboom will have to go to sleep. The Ursaluna protects itself, knows that it will be safe for the rest of this game. The Woodhammer comes through from Alex, dealing a little bit of damage to the Rillaboom. We know that that is a faster Rillaboom than Lorcy's. Would have gotten the KO with its own Woodhammer, but that 1 hit point on the Blood Moon Ursaluna, Jan's going to come through and a Blood Moon. Just clean this up and give Alex Arand a game advantage heading into our game 2 and 1 win away from becoming a regional champion.
And just to talk about how close this match was, it's only the fact that this is the guaranteed turn of sleep that locks in the win for Lorcy. Had this Rillaboom gone to sleep a turn earlier, we'd be talking about, well, it could wake up here, but it is unable to. The Blood Moon will take that KO, and Alex Arand, just like you said, 1 win closer to that coveted regional champion title.
Now, Gabby, we said this was going to be a close set. I don't know that it gets any closer than that 1 pixel of health that Ursaluna had at the end there to win that match for Alex. So obviously, both of these players feeling very comfortable in this matchup. Both of these players obviously taking each other to the absolute limit. What is there to adjust? Is it just go through and continue to play your game the way you want to play it?
Well, I think it's really interesting that Alex chose the Ursaluna as the special attacker of choice, and Lorcy chose the Golden Go, and also we saw the Sneasler for Lorcy where it was not present for Alex. You know, I think this goes to show just how they personally feel comfortable with these two teams. I do wonder if there's a world where Alex maybe adjusts and decides to leave the Ursaluna behind in favor of his own Sneasler, just seeing how that game went. But at the end of the day, I think that you have to rely on what you feel comfortable with in these balance mirrors, because you're not playing the team. You're not playing that, I know this Pokemon will always do this to this Pokemon. You're playing the player. And if you can rely on your muscle memory, on the plays that you know and you are comfortable with, to give yourself the advantage and to know when you need to push and when you need to protect, being comfortable there, that's what makes you a regional champion.
Absolutely, and Alex is 1 win away from getting that title for himself. Lorcy needs to win this second game to force a Game 3 and keep his tournament alive here in Milwaukee. We are headed into game number 2. Both of our competitors hungry, they are eager, they want this for themselves. Incineroars both on the field, but this time it's Golden Go and Ninetales coming out from Lorcy.
This Alolan Ninetales already has a couple of different options to mix things up. You do have to worry about the fake out this first turn, of course, but after that, there's the Terra Ground that can do some good damage to Golden Go or the Incineroar, but there's also Aurora Veil. There's no opportunity to change this weather, and knowing that you're going to have both a light screen and a reflect up for the next 5 turns, that could change this matchup a lot.
Absolutely. You mentioned earlier that there are very few ways to reduce special type damage. One of them is Aurora Veil. So Lorcy has that option here if he can protect the Ninetales and the Incineroar, get an attack off.
But if that's what Alex is anticipating, if you know that your special attacks are going to be weakened, you can always Nasty Plot to offset it. And one thing that I've seen from the Incineroar Golden Go lead time and time again is when you feel safe, Fake Out plus Nasty Plot is always one way to start off your game right.
That is one way to start your game off right. Another is to go ahead and use your Rogue Terra. Terra Ground, Ninetales on the field for Lorcy. Goes ahead and immediately uses the Terra. Fake Out will connect on the Incineroar, not the Ninetales. Terra Blast connects onto the Golden Go. There was no Protect, there was no Terastallization. Super effective damage, more than 50%, just as we saw in Game 3, and that punishes the Nasty Plot here. Golden Go is no longer safe. It cannot feel like it is going to be able to just fire off Make It Rain. It has to be afraid of this Terra Ground Ninetales.
Lorcy making a very aggressive call there. Doesn't even go for his own Fake Out, just knows Incineroar is slower. I can't protect Alolan Ninetales. I need to get this damage down on Golden Go as soon as possible. With no speed control on the board for Alex, he can now threaten a knockout with that Terra Blast into the Golden Go. You can also just threaten to do half damage to that Incineroar potentially with that attack. This Golden Go, yes, it got the Nasty Plot off and it could protect and try and find an opening. As long as the Ninetales is able to stick around, which it can if it only takes one attack this turn, it can still threaten that damage the following turn.
Yep, there's the Protect from Golden Go. It will protect itself from the Terra Blast, but like you mentioned, with that Focus Sash, Ninetales is still going to be around here for the next one. And here is the speed interactions on the Incineroar making a huge difference. Alex goes for the Parting Shot. It will connect with Incineroar on Lorcy's side first, which means that Alex gets to switch in a new Pokemon here, and if Lorcy went for that Parting Shot himself, that means that he now gets to have the advantage by going for the Parting Shot into this Rillaboom now.
The way you train your Incineroar is such a contentious topic in the VGC scene. I think that there's a lot of ways that you can benefit from a speedy Incineroar, but when you're in this this mirror, knowing that your parting shot goes second, you don't take any drops from your attack, and more importantly, you can punish what your opponent sends in. And when you know it's probably going to be a Rillaboom, another physical attacker, it's like you intimidated it. You're able to get in your own Golden Go now. You don't have to worry about those high horsepowers necessarily adding up, and honestly, you don't necessarily have to worry about the Ninetales getting KO'd either, because as long as you, again, protect this turn, make sure you don't flinch, make sure nothing weird happens, we'll be able to threaten that knockout in the following turn.
Yeah, and this Rillaboom now is at -1 attack. It's going to be threatened by another Incineroar switch in to reduce it even further, which means that even though this Ninetales is weak to the grass-type attacks from Rillaboom, it's not going to be taking as much damage as you might expect. Of course, the Focus Sash is still going to keep it around anyway, but this is really going to start adding up, especially for the other Pokemon that Lorcy has brought.
There is something to be said about the grassy terrain recovery onto the Golden Go. You have to wonder at what point will the Terra Blast not do enough to pick up that KO, as we did see it do roughly over 50-ish. But that being said, as long as Lorcy's confident in that damage roll, you really do want the double Intimidate on the Rillaboom. That's such a key play.
Oh, well, Rillaboom will switch out again, so resetting the attack drop so that Alex can bring back in his own Incineroar. Going to get the Intimidate down onto Lorcy's Incin, but now the fake out pressure is here once again. We're in a very similar position, and it's going to be the Terra coming out from Golden Go. By switching out the Rillaboom, Golden Go is forced to go for the Terastallization here.
It's the only way to keep the Golden Go safe, but now it's just susceptible to a Grassy Glide. You're taking one weakness from the Alolan Ninetales and just substituting it for another, and honestly, probably a bit of a more comfortable Pokemon to have a weakness from.
Absolutely. And the Protect here means that there will be no damage onto the Ninetales in this Shadow Ball, but the nasty Plot Boost deals good damage to the Incineroar. I believe that is just enough, 1 hit point, to activate the Citrus Berry there for Lorcy to actually regain most of that health right back.
So now this Alolan Ninetales, it did force the Terastallization, which I think is a really great spot for Lorcy. Knowing that nothing else can Terastallize really allows you to start planning out your end game. But unfortunately, it does mean that you have to think about, well, what does Ninetales do now?
Right.
Blizzard is not going to be very great against Incineroar and Golden Go. Fishing for freezes in this board position, don't do it. You really want to try and find an opportunity to get the Aurora Veil up at this point before you're KO'd. Now, Fake Out plus an attack from Golden Go should be able to pick up the KO on the Ninetales, even though it's not weak to Make It Rain anymore. We still have those special attack boosts in play. So it's really just a matter of calling, did he Fake Out or not? And we know he didn't.
Yeah, Alex has switched in the Rillaboom again, so continuing that revolving door. Rillaboom now out on the field. Golden Go will now protect itself from the Fake Out. By forcing that Terastallization, this Golden Go is no longer immune to Fake Out, and we have seen just how important maintaining that Fake Out pressure has been for both of these players. Now, of course, no damage will come across over the course of this turn. Golden Go continues to get a little bit more healthy every turn that goes by because of that grassy terrain, but Lorcy still has a pretty decent position. All of his Pokemon are still very healthy.
You do have to wonder, though, at which point does Alex find an opening? Because there is so much switching here. The big difference on the field is that Golden Go can do one attack to significantly change things. Whereas Lorcy, like, yeah, Blizzard into Rillaboom, that'd be great. Does not have the same, I think, fear that a Make It Rain has on the field at this point in time. So
let's not forget that there's still a nasty plot on that Golden Go.
Exactly. So you do have to wonder, just when does the Make It Rain happen, and just how much will it do? Because that's not enough for the KO.
Not enough. Not with the Terastallization. The Make It Rain connects onto Ninetales. It goes down to its Focus Sash. And Incineroar takes a decent amount of damage as well. That means that now this Rillaboom will get a shot at it, and even the Life Orb recoil is not enough to knock out the Golden Go, and the high horsepower connecting on Incineroar will mean that Alex takes the first KO here. But a lot of damage dealt to that Golden Go may just have been worth it.
those turns of grassy terrain recovery, that was the difference there between the Golden Go being able to hang on, not just through the attack, but through the Life Orb recoil as well, versus being knocked out from a Terra Blast, despite the fact that it terastallized by itself. Still in a precarious spot now, but being able to remove the Incineroar, that was the pivot that Lorcy had. You can't pivot Golden Go and Rillaboom. It just doesn't have the same synergy that the Incineroar and Rillaboom have. And Alex, on the other hand, more than comfortable to make those switches again and again to weaken Lorcy's own Rillaboom. We could be seeing a board state very soon where Lorcy is down to his final 2 Pokemon. Since that Ninetales is already so low, Alex is just slowly stepping closer and closer to that regional win.
Yeah, and another really important thing just happened on that turn, which is that the snow ended. Blizzards are no longer guaranteed, and that could be a huge deal. Rillaboom, though, actually threatening a KO and a fake out, instead switches for Incineroar. Alex is not going for these big swings when they are being offered to him by Lorcy. Instead, Incineroar trying to pivot. Intimidate goes down onto the Rillaboom, and to protect from Golden Go, Ninetales gets to swing here, and it gets to survive another turn. The Terra Blast. It's attacking directly at the Incineroar. The ground opens up, and Incineroar takes massive damage. Not quite enough to pick up a one-hit KO, but a two-hit KO with the high horsepower. Lorcy is not ready to go home. He wants a third game, and he is playing like it.
What an incredible read there from Lorcy, recognizing, hey, you knocked my Incineroar out in 2 hits. I can do that too.
Anything you can do.
I can do better. Lorcy can do it better, at least. But no, now we do get the reveal of Alex's final Pokemon in that Ursaluna. Once again, that special attacker taking the field. It is going to be slower than the Ninetales, though. And how can you slow down the special attack? Aurora Veil. I do think that this is an opportunity to try and switch that Ninetales out. Maybe hope that Golden Go doesn't take a Blood Moon on the way in, because why would you waste your Blood Moon on a Pokemon with such low
19 health?
Exactly.
Yeah.
As long as you think that the opponent's Golden Go won't Shadow Ball your Ninetales for some reason, I think you try to make that switch, get the snow back up, and just hope that 1, Blizzard lands against the Ursaluna that can't terastallize, and 2, if you need it, Aurora Veil.
Well, there's a lot that's going on here.
We need snow.
We need grassy terrain. Grassy terrain also just ending. Golden Go goes for a double protect. Does not get it. It will fail. The Terra Blast from Ninetales. It will connect on the Golden Go. That Pokemon has finally gone down. It is just the Ursaluna and the Rillaboom in the back remaining for Alex to try and take out 3 remaining Pokemon from Lorcy. And crucially, there is no defensive Terra available for the Ursaluna, which means it has to take the full force of this super effective Wood Hammer. Not quite enough to pick up the one-hit KO, but that is a lot of damage back. And finally Ninetales goes down to an Earth Power.
Unfortunately for Lorcy, the lack of the grassy terrain there did weaken the power of that Wood Hammer, which could have contributed to the fact that Ursaluna was able to hold on there. That being said, though, I think trading your Ninetales for the Golden Go there, that was a fantastic trade. You can now get your own Golden Go on the field.
Full health.
Full health. Able to maneuver around this board state pretty comfortably because Ursaluna already at pretty low health. Grassy terrain is back up on the field, so if you are worrying a little bit about that Pokemon in particular, you can threaten it with the Wood Hammer again, you can threaten it with Grassy Glide. Really, Alex is helping you out, resetting the terrain for you.
Absolutely, and Ursaluna is forced to protect here because it has no options. Lorcy can KO it with Grassy Glide. Lorcy can KO it with Make It Rain. It's not going to do anything because it's just going to be protecting. Rillaboom, though, is taking big damage from this unboosted Make It Rain. Those special attack drops will start adding up, but at this point, Rillaboom needs much more damage than that in order to break the Golden Go. Here comes the Wood Hammer from Lorcy's Rillaboom, almost enough to pick up the KO there, and this is it. Lorcy is forcing a Game 3. Both of these players, for the first time ever, are 1 game away from winning a regional championship.
What an incredible way to claw his way back into the matchup. You know, when the Incineroar went down, I was nervous because these trainers, if you watch back how they've been playing this set, there's been so much switching.
They love their Incineroar.
I hate to sound like a broken record, but this is honestly the return of the revolving door of Pokemon, and I just had to call it out. And at the end of the day, if you lose your pivots, if you lose the switch, that just changes how you play. But Lorcy made a great adjustment. Alex is trying to play to his outs, the double protect, the grassy glide, but unfortunately, this Golden Go, I think, able to clear up the set.
Yeah, the Make It Rain connects onto both. Ursaluna actually hangs on there a little bit. That could have gotten a little bit spooky if Alex had not gone for the double protect there, but instead, Joshua Lorcy is going to be able to clean this one up. Force game 3, and Lorcy is looking really good. This was another really close matchup, and I am so excited for this third game.
I am so excited as well. I do have to wonder if we're going to see a protect again from the Ursaluna to give Alex a little more thinking time. After the protect fails, you are guaranteed for it to succeed.
Yep.
And I respect it. You have to take every single second afforded to you in these tough situations, especially when you are trying to think about, how do I stop my opponent's pivoting? How do I get that one step ahead? He was able to find the opportunity to knock out that Incineroar, but his own Incineroar followed very quickly after.
Yeah, and it's going to be a big deal for Alex to think about this. This was the power of that Terra Ground Ninetales, able to deal super effective damage to both the Incineroar and Golden Go on the leads, and eventually forcing the Terastallization. And when Golden Go had to Terastallize into the water typing, that was probably the moment that Alex lost control of the game, because he no longer had the defensive pivots that he needed to keep up with Lorcy's defensive pivots.
Exactly, and I do think that thinking back to how their first best of 3 set, knowing that the final adjustment was that Terra Ground Terastallization on the Alolan Ninetales, I think that's how Lorcy solves this matchup at the end of the day. It provides a lot of pressure with the Terra Blast, targeting the Golden Go, targeting the Incineroar, really targeting a lot of the Pokemon on the opposing side of the field. Blizzard as well, very scary, but then you also have the Aurora Veil as well if you feel like playing it a little bit slower. And I do think that Alex has to be prepared for that moving forwards. That being said, he did win the first best of 3 set against the Terra Ground Alolan Ninetales. And if he's able to think back to how he approached that situation and do that once again, assuming we don't see another adjustment from Lorcy, that could be his ticket to be regional champion.
Yeah, well, both players are looking for the magic sauce that will make them into a regional champion, and it's all going to come down to this final game. An entire weekend's worth of Pokemon battling for both of these players. 12 rounds of Swiss, both of them coming up through the play-in rounds as well in the top cut. This is what it has all come down to. One game for the entire title of regional champion.
And we're going to see those leads, and it's actually the Incineroar and the Ursaluna out for Alex, and the Golden Go and the Incineroar out for Lorcy. So returning to a very tried and true combination. I love to see that the Golden Go and the Ursaluna are staring up against each other, but I think this just means that their defensive tears are aligned.
Yeah, I believe this just brings us back to game 1 here.
Exactly.
Especially since we see the Sneasler in the back for Lorcy as well. So both of these players going back to game 1. Of course, Alex was able to win that, but had the slimmest of margins I have ever seen. Like, that wasn't a focus sash. That was just an actual 1 HP roll.
And you have to wonder what Lorcy was thinking about to go back to this strategy, given how close that was. There must have been a key moment looking back that he realized, if I just change this thing, all of a sudden that close margin becomes something a lot more comfortable. You can change with Pokemon you Terastallize. Maybe you try and go for a parting shot here instead of a fake out, knowing that you're going to be slower. There are a lot of options here, as this is only the first turn, and there is the water defensive Terastallization.
Both games in which players used their defensive Terastallization on Golden Go, they both lost those games. However, Lorcy is using this to buy time for a nasty plot here, while the Fake Out connects onto the Ursaluna so that it can remove its pressure from either a Blood Moon or an Earth Power. Now, the Life Orb has been knocked off now, so there is a significant decrease to the amount of power that this Golden Go has, but the nasty plot should help make up for that.
And not only that, you're not taking recoil damage anymore, which if we do get to a situation where this Golden Go just kind of hangs out on the field, which we've seen the water Terastallization Golden Go do on Alex's side of the field with grassy terrain up, you could get some recovery there. That being said, that is still a Pokemon that is threatened by those big attacks from the Ursaluna, and anticipating a switch, oh no!
Went for the hard read and unfortunately does not get it. That is a Shadow Ball into the Ursaluna. No switch, no Terastallization Terastallization, just an immunity to the ghost typing. And now Alex gets to parting shot into Josh's Incineroar and reposition. With that Water Terra type, Rillaboom is a safe and easy switch in here to threaten both Fake Out and huge damage onto that Golden Go. That was a big swing, and unfortunately a big whiff onto the Ursaluna, and this Blood Moon, it's going to punish the Golden Go with a KO.
That was such a tough turn, but Alex made the most of it. Being able to keep that Pokemon confidently on the field in front of a +2 Golden Go, and not only that, return a knockout into it with a Blood Moon, that just puts him one step ahead. Yes, you do have to worry about the parting shot onto your own Rillaboom now, but it is going to come down to those special Pokemon attackers on how he's been approaching this matchup time and time again, and as long as you're able to support your Ursaluna to buy it time, to use Fake Out, to use priority attacks, to open up opportunities for it, you are inching closer and closer to that championship title.
Alex can taste it after that turn, getting a KO on a massive special attacker from Lorcy's side and maintaining positional advantage. Sneasler now is going to try and make something happen for Lorcy. The Incineroar, of course, parting shotted the Rillaboom on the switch-in, so reducing the power of that Pokemon from its physical side and being able to switch right back in for another Intimidate onto Rillaboom and threaten Fake Out pressure onto the Ursaluna.
But which Pokemon do you send in now? The Rillaboom would force a Terastallization on the Ursaluna, certainly, if the Sneasler alone didn't do it. But then you do have to worry about the Incineroar coming in from your opponent. You don't necessarily have a comfortable pivot there like you would with a parting shot, and you know that your Rillaboom is going to be slower as well, as we've already seen. This Ursaluna, yes, it maybe has to protect this turn, but if you protect, then Blood Moon is available again, and that's a great move to have. Alex is in the driver's seat right now, and Lorcy has to make up for that Shadow Ball.
Yeah, one thing that I have been noticing about how Alex has been playing is that he is regularly pivoting the Incineroar and the Rillaboom instead of going on the offense. But now, here we are in Game 3, the decider of the entire tournament, and there are no switches, no repivots. Instead, the defensive Terastallization from the Ursaluna. Fake Out will connect onto the Rillaboom, not onto the Sneasler, which will be able to fire off a close combat into Ursaluna. As before, deals about 50% damage, which Ursaluna will be able to heal back up with the leftovers and the grassy terrain recovery. This Earth Power is a one-hit KO, and now Incineroar and Rillaboom are all that Lorcy has to make something happen, and Alex Arand is so close to his first regional championship.
We have seen Incineroar and Rillaboom accomplish some incredible things throughout the video game championships, but this is very much an uphill battle for Lorcy. Does have the opportunity to go for a Fake Out here and buy himself one more turn, but what do you do with that turn? Do you try and land a high horsepower into that Ursaluna? It looks like it could be a KO from this range if you don't get intimidated. Do you try and land an attack against the Rillaboom, hoping it remains a Rillaboom? I feel like what you just said about Alex, constantly switching the Rillaboom and the Incineroar back and back and back. This is when you want your own Incineroar on the field. You want the Intimidate, and you just want that partner side by side ready to help you be champion.
There's absolutely nothing preventing Alex from switching in the Incineroar here, locking in those Intimidate debuffs onto both the Incineroar and Rillaboom for Lorcy, and protecting that Ursaluna. And there's still a fourth unrevealed Pokemon in the back. There is a Protect coming out from Ursaluna, no switches, so the Incineroar will not be coming in. Instead, just a high horsepower. Alex has decided that he wants to get as much damage as possible, protect the Incineroar or the final Pokemon in the back. Instead, we'll take some damage from that high horsepower and a knockoff that is not insignificant damage. Lorcy at least getting the call right and the targeting correct, but still missing out on any way to deal significant damage to that Ursaluna or prevent the Intimidates from cycling once again.
They could still cycle this turn, though, and I do think the fact that the Ursaluna opted for Protect there and the Rillaboom went for the high horsepower, to me implies that that last Pokemon probably feels okay with the matchup against the Rillaboom, probably wants that Incineroar gone before it makes an appearance. And if we go by past trends, maybe it's that Golden Go making an appearance once again, and there it is.
That's Golden Go switching in instead of the Ursaluna. High horsepower connects onto Incineroar, doesn't deal a lot of damage, and will activate the Citrus Berry, which will negate the damage that was just dealt to it. There have not been any Intimidate cycled in. The high horsepower connects onto Rillaboom for small damage. It's this knockoff, though, connecting onto Golden Go. Not quite enough. Just barely misses the KO and knocks off the Life Orb from Golden Go. So significant damage removal there from the Life Orb because there has not been an opportunity to get any nasty plots off. That was just pure damage. And Alex has so many tools to close this one out, but just hasn't done it yet.
Yeah, you have to wonder why. At the end of the day, the Intimidate into these two Pokemon, you need that.
It looks like he is trying to stall out some of this grassy terrain to prevent things like this Grassy Glide from being able to pick up additional damage, as well as the additional damage onto the Ursaluna, perhaps. But really just focusing down on this Incineroar, which is shrugging off all this damage.
It is, and not only that, I think going to lose the Rillaboom this upcoming turn if he doesn't switch it out. You know, I think something interesting here is that a lot of times when players are down to their final two Pokemon, they do immediately switch in that Intimidate Pokemon because you do want those attack drops. And yeah, I'm really curious why he hasn't revealed it yet. It would be a very good Pokemon to have in your end game for sure, but
no Life Orb, no boost. That Make It Rain does not deal a lot of damage here.
It doesn't. Another high horsepower, though, will follow it up.
Not
and
enough.
Incineroar is able to hang on still.
How many has that been? 4 high horsepowers into that Incineroar, and it still survives. Woodhammer picks up the KO onto the Golden Go. Now Incineroar has an opportunity to fight back against the Rillaboom. Another knockoff, just enough damage to knock that Pokemon out. And now, finally, Incineroar comes in with Fake Out pressure, with the Intimidate, and alongside the Ursaluna.
This could be the board state that Alex was hoping for, in the sense that you have the Fake Out to stop the Rillaboom, you have the Ursaluna with Blood Moon available to it, you can very easily target it down with this 2-hit, and then the Incineroar with 13 health left.
This is full health Incineroar.
This is full health Incineroar. It is ready to go, and I think it's been waiting for its opportunity to take the field.
Yeah, there's the Fake Out connecting onto Rillaboom, so no high horsepowers coming out. Earth Power from Ursaluna locks up Incineroar, and yeah, that full health Incineroar is happy to take a Flare Blitz for this into this Rillaboom and lock up a regional championship here.
Playing a little bit of a tag team game there, just letting the teammates, you know, hey, you can handle this for a bit longer. I'll wait a couple of turns. But again, shows the confidence in the team. And I think that waiting to rely on Blood Moon and waiting until you know you are going to land those KOs is so critical. Now, Rillaboom does have a speed advantage here, and it does know high horsepower, but you've been intimidated. It can have a miss. It's going to be a very uphill battle, and with that forfeit, Alex Arand is our new Milwaukee regional champion.
Yeah, incredibly well played there from Alex. Identified the Incineroar win condition, still had it, kept it fully healthy throughout that entire match, and now the regional champion in Milwaukee. For the first time, Alex Arand gets to hear that he is a regional champion.